Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Soul and Soma Talk. It's really special to be recording the first episode of 2026. Today is Valentine's Day here in Australia, and it's summer, and people are out, couples are everywhere, love is in the air, and yet for many of us, today can feel tender, lonely, or confronting. And that is exactly why I wanted to begin the year with this conversation. Because no matter your age, background, success, or life stage, we all have a deep need to have someone, and I get it. I truly, truly do, and I have been there myself. We're all wired for a connection because we are here to love, connect, grow, and learn through one another. We are not meant to live in isolation or to be alone, but there is a difference between connection and fear of being alone. And today we're going to be talking all about this. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. And this year I'm going to be talking more about it in my courses, online courses that I'm going to be doing, but also here over on my pod. So I think one of the main questions that come up for me when I think about this area is, why do we feel the need for a partner? I think that's a really good question. And to be honest, I think there were a few years ago where I didn't even ask myself that question. It was just this known thing. You are with someone, you have to be with someone. And we're all relational beings. And we all have, when we connect with someone, it regulates our nervous system. Love creates safety. Belonging creates identity. So if you think about it, from our childhood, we learn, most of us, in our own way, connection is safety, being close to someone is survival, and belonging is love. That's a really strong one. I'm going to say those again. Connection is safety, feeling close to someone's survival, and belonging is love. So it makes sense that we seek out relationships. But somewhere along the way, this natural desire to be with someone, to connect with someone, we can have a fear of being alone, a fear of not being chosen, a fear of not being good enough, and a fear of being left behind. And when that fear is driving us, we don't choose from a place of wholeness, we choose from survival. And a lot of us, when we're surrounded by people that are in relationships, it can feel quite isolating. So we're not meant to be alone, but I want to be clear on this, very, very clear. We are not meant to do life alone. We are meant to love, to connect, to share life. And relationships teach us, they help us grow, they mirror us, they challenge us, and they expand us. And if you've done any work with me in my private practice, you will know that we talk about mirrors all the time. We talk about that we meet people for a reason. And why is this person in my life? But being in a relationship simply to avoid being alone is not love. And a lot of this can be done on automatic pilot. A lot of us can be attracted or in a relationship without even thinking, why am I in this? What is this connection? All of those deep questions. And that's all normal. But the fear is really strong. And sometimes it's the fear is wearing the mask of love. And this is where so many people settle. So many of us, me included. So a lot of us settle. I did too. And I want to be really honest with you and really blunt and very vulnerable just for a second. It's just you and me. So when we talk about people settling, I don't know if any of you can relate to this. And I know this may sound so weird. I settled in my marriage of 8 years, but I didn't know I was settling. I had no awareness. And I know to some of you might be like, what? You're a therapist now and you talk about awareness all the time. Yep. But I can honestly say, and this was only a few years ago, it wasn't that long ago, that when I was in my marriage, I wasn't happy, sure, but I didn't really sit with myself long enough to be quiet and being like, I am settling. Like those words never came in my vocab. They never kind of came into my headspace. So if this is you, I just want to normalize this, that even though I'm talking about it, I didn't know about any of this stuff not long ago. So I want to really pull everything back today and show you that even though I'm sharing this stuff, I think deep down, obviously I was definitely settling, but I didn't have the awareness that I was, because I didn't really have a fear of starting over, because leaving my husband or leaving the marriage just wasn't an option for me. Which, really sounds a no-brainer for me now where I'm at. But a lot of us stay because we do have a fear of starting over. It can be financial instability, like the financial side is a really big one. We don't want to be alone, or we don't know what it's like, and it's easier being with someone. It's like, oh, cool, I kind of know the mundane, the boringness, the not having what I want. I'm kind of used to it. So I'll settle with the discomfort that I know, rather than the fear of a whole new world of something that I don't know. And that sounds scarier than settling. Like leaving feels scarier. And we also settle because we don't want to hurt someone. We don't want to hurt the person that we're with. Also, we don't want to leave, especially in marriages or long-term relationships. We have a big fear of being judged. Some of us have a fear that we won't find anyone better. And we could have a fear that, oh gosh, we're too old, like we haven't dated for 20 years, or I don't want to begin again. So all of those are very normal reasons why we settle. So we stay. Or we go from relationship to relationship, relationship to relationship. And even if we're in a long-term relationship, there's a rush to be in another one. Or what I see is people in relationships and also having another relationship on the side, whether it's emotional or physical or both. So we've got one foot in and one foot out. Very, very common things, very common things. And if we rush into new relationships, we don't get the time to be with ourselves. And we never allow ourselves to be alone long enough to understand who we are. So many of us have never truly been alone. And that's the thing I really want you to hear me today when I say this, because we never discover ourselves outside of a relationship, who we are, what we like doing. We've never learned to sit with our own emotions, and we've never developed a trust within ourselves, that we trust ourselves, and that so we repeat patterns over and over again, not because we want to, but because we actually don't know another way. And the importance of being alone, not to be lonely, but the importance of being alone is so we can heal, so we can just take a breath. How many moments in life do we get off the hamster wheel? Do we actually stop and just take a moment? It freaks so many people out. I know, oh my God, I have to stop. Oh my God, I have to sit with myself. People, that's why a good therapist can sit alongside you and help you through this. Because a lot of us being alone, it's so important at some stage in our life that we need to be empowered and grounding and build our identity again. We're a different person. You need time. Instead of going from relationship to relationship, you need to heal, but also you need to build this new identity that you've got. So this alone time allows you to learn who you are, hear your own voice, understand your needs, recognize your patterns, and develop a trust in yourself. Yeah. And that's something that I wish I could give to everybody, because once you've got that, it's not just for relationships, but it filters out to your friendships, to your family, to your career, to your children. Like, this stuff is huge. The ripple effect on what I'm talking about today, even though it's about being settling and being in relationships and not being alone, and why we choose to settle, that's a huge topic in itself. But once you understand the fundamentals, like the foundations of who you are, what your voice is, your needs, your patterns, your whole life changes. And so many people, when they start working with me, like, I don't believe you. It's like, that's totally okay. And then when they come out through working with me, they're like, oh my gosh, like once you understand who you are, everything changes, and it's really empowering and it's really good. And it's just incredible that you see life through your own eyes. But also, like, from my perspective, once I got to that point, it was like, oh, wow, I actually now have all the information. I know who I am. I know why I'm attracted to the people that I'm attracted to. I know why I act a certain way in relationships. I know why I communicate in a certain way. I know what my needs are. I'm not afraid to say, like, there's so many different things here. And it's just, if we move from relationship to relationship without pausing, and the pauses are longer than like 3 months, 6 months or 12 months, we're all different, because everyone's like, oh, how long do I need to be single for to heal and move on? Everyone's different. Everyone's situation's different. I can't give you the number. Only you can do that, but it's longer than what you think it is. And if I think I was really honest when I looked at everyone's relationships and, you know, I had a bit of a crystal ball or something, and I could say how long people had to be single for to really understand themselves, I don't think people would want to do the work, honestly. In my journey, if people had told me how long I needed time on my own to heal, and my patterns were so bad that's why it got me to a point where I was like, I can't do this on my own. I can't be in another relationship, because the relationships were not healthy for me. And I was so depleted that I was like, okay, I need help to discover why I attracted this and why I am the way I am. But Barbara, back then, if someone had told me, oh gosh, it's going to be 8 years, 9 years, whatever, I would have gone, oh, I would have set off, or I would have been so freaked out and I would have got someone else. And so we only need to know what we need to know on the time, but being alone it is the biggest power move that I wish everyone could have. Because if we don't have that alone time, more than 3 months, by the way, but I'm not going to give you a number, because you're like, oh, she had to give us a number today. I'm not going to give you a number, but it brings you the same wounds into new connections if you don't do this stuff. So I know the person looks different, sounds different, this feels different, it's all different. It has to be that way for you to learn and grow and be like, oh God, I'm doing the same thing again. And even if me saying that triggers you, there's something in that. If anything I say today triggers you, shoot me a DM, ask me some questions. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. So another thing I'd love to talk about is our attachment styles and why we love the way we do. And this is so fascinating. Attachment styles are spoken more and more about. You might have seen them on socials, or might have heard one of your girlfriends talk about their attachment style. It's great if you know what it is. And when I work with my clients, we do an exercise to find out what it is, but I don't take it as like, that's the be all and end all. It's just a little bit of information that I use. But I want to talk a little bit about it today, because I think it's important. If you've never heard of it before or you've dabbled in it, it's important that we talk about. So understanding your attachment style can change a lot of things. So I've got 4 here. There's an anxious attachment, where you feel you have a fear of being abandoned, you need reassurance all the time, and you overthink. You could have an avoidant attachment, which you fear closeness, you really value independence, but you pull away. So it's like this push-pull feeling. You could have disorganized attachment, you want love, but you fear it. Or the secure attachment, which you feel safe in a connection and you have independence. So the secure attachment style is the healthy attachment style. And believe it or not, you can have 2 or 3 of these attachment styles together. It's not just, you don't just fit neatly into one of these 4. You can cross or move in between all of them, 2 of them, 3 of them. So that's why it's good to work with a therapist to really pull apart your attachment style and find out why you love the way you do. Because your attachment style influences who you choose, how you communicate, how you handle conflict, and how safe you feel in love. They're so powerful, aren't they? And we've learned how to love based on what felt safe for us growing up. So as much as, like in therapy, especially when your therapist might ask you, oh, well, what was it like growing up? What's your mother like? What's your father like? Or what are your caregivers like? Most people want to roll their eyes and be like, oh, I haven't come here to talk about my parents, or I haven't come here to talk about my childhood. And most therapists totally get that. We're like, yes. But especially when we're talking about relationships and love and connections and attachment style, we just need to know a little bit about your childhood to understand what patterns you saw, what blueprint you saw growing up, because that is what you are repeating now. And once you understand these patterns, they're healed. Once you understand and have the awareness, you're like, oh, okay, it is that easy. Once you understand, you go, oh, right. That's why I do what I do. So we want to choose love from being whole. So what does this mean? So the goal is we don't want to avoid relationships. We're not here for that. We are all of us are meant to be with somebody at some point in our lives, because that's how we grow. And the goal is to choose them consciously. So not through our subconscious patterns, not through our triggers, not through our fears, not because everyone in the group's got a boyfriend and you're the only one. It needs to come from you're choosing them consciously. How many of us are walking through life every day consciously? Not many of us. So we want to choose from when we're feeling whole, no fear, not because we're lonely. So healthy love feels safe and respectful and grounded and consistent and supportive, not anxious, not confusing. Does he or she like me? And you don't feel emotionally exhausted. So probably now's a good time for me. If you've got a pen and paper, I want you to write these down. And if you're driving or walking, maybe just look at the time of the recording, because I want you to come back to these. I've got some questions for you, because I want you to reflect and ask yourself these things. So, am I choosing connection or avoiding loneliness? Do I feel safe being alone? Do I know who I am outside of relationships? What patterns keep repeating in my love life? What am I afraid would happen if I was alone? So I want you to answer those questions and just see how you go with those. So if anything that I've said today feels tender or feels triggering, you're not alone. And if you're single today, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you or you're behind in life. And if you're in a relationship but you're feeling lonely, that deserves compassion too. Love begins with the relationship you have with yourself. And when you understand yourself, your patterns and your attachment, everything changes. And if this conversation that I've had today resonates with you and you want to explore your patterns, your relationships, your attachment style more deeply, this is exactly the work I do with my clients. You can book a session with me via the link in the show notes, or you can head over to my page, which is self_care_studio. And I've got my calendar on there, online or in studio, in the Illawarra in New South Wales in Australia, but I do online clients all around the world. So no matter where you're listening to this, if you're listening and you I want to take charge this year, I want to know why I love the way I do, who I'm bringing into my life and why, I can help you with that. And I just want to say, for the first episode back for 2026, thank you for being here with me. If this episode resonated with you and you'd like to go deeper, you can find me at Self Care Studio, my private practice, where I work with clients online and in person. You can find me over on Instagram, self_care_studio. You can also explore my online programs through School of Self, designed to help you understand yourself, breaking patterns, building a healthier relationship with your mind and body. To learn more or access my courses, visit selfcarebybarbarathompson.com.au. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who may need to hear it today. Word of mouth helps these conversations reach the people who need them most. And if you have a moment, I would love it if you could please leave a review. on Apple or Spotify. This helps the podcast grow by recommending this to more listeners, and it supports more people on their healing journey. Thank you so much for being here and for doing the work, and I look forward to you joining me on the next episode. Bye!